Welcome to the Devil's Advocate, brought to you by the Kaiju Army. I am your host, Goji Spit, and here is my friend FakeRavens.
Hello.
We are here to search for the goodness within the bad. Those bad movies that everybody just loves to hate. We're here to argue possible good things that we can find in them. Today's movie is Plan 9 from Outer Space, directed, written, and edited by Ed Wood, actually. He did everything. Given that this is the first episode, I love bad movies. But it isn't just the bad movie. I like that somebody had to direct that. Actors had to act it. And they all
Hmm.
put in everything they had for it, usually. Even when they're phoning it in, they're there doing it. And after you've made a few videos and had everybody just, oh, I'm sick or I got to help my family or something, you kind of learn that them being there is golden.
Right.
Um, oh, yeah, so I decided Devil's Advocate would be a good forum to do that. We talk about, or I give the argument of why the movie is good, and then we watch the movie, then we converse about my argument. FakeRavens would come up with possible counter arguments to it, and then
Hmm.
that's about it.
The devil's advocate to the we should the imp argument.
I'm sorry.
The imp argument. That's a good name.
The imp argument, yes. Uh, the argument for Plan 9 from Outer Space is the movie is about aliens that come down to try to prevent us from destroying the universe. But they act like we are so beneath them that they can't talk to us normally. We have to come to them to ask for help. They can't just come to us to say, "Hey, let us help you so you don't destroy the universe." So my concept is that you got these aliens that are just so advanced, but they don't know how to talk to us. So they fail miserably time and time again, acting like villains more than heroes. I find that with this argument, it kind of mirrors things that have been going on in society and stuff like that, where people just don't know how to talk to each other. So there's a lot of arguments
Hmm.
and strife that could easily be fixed if people would just sit down and talk to each other like they're humans.
Right. There was this quote I saw not too long ago. He said that people often enough um have conversation with the intent to reply rather than understand, in the sense of like, when I say something, you're expecting to say something back to me rather than to understand my initial point. And so like a lot of times what I can say can often be misconstrued as like a an argument to whatever you think, and you have to be contrarian to it to have true information be transferred.
I have seen that a lot, yes.
Like the people who are, have you heard of the anti-science movement currently?
Well, it's been around for a while, but yeah, I don't know the current
I
situation with
mean
it.
the transparent, like the people who call themselves the anti-science movement.
No, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, there was a group on like Facebook and other social media platforms, and they are anti big science. Like they're anti research papers. Like they believe that everyone should be doing their own research, and that you can't trust the mouth of a scientist because they are paid by big science. They do their own research. They Google search everything.
Well, of course, that's how you research everything is a little Google search.
Right, right,
I
right. Who
mean,
needs a doctorate anyways? It's
yeah,
Google exists.
yeah. I mean, it's how you. I mean, with the whole flat Earth thing. I mean, if I don't see it with my own eyes, of course, it doesn't exist. I mean,
Right,
obviously.
right.
But anyway, this is about the time that we should probably watch the movie. I will put up a timer. If everybody wants to join us, down below is the link to my Discord. And if you join in Devil's Advocate, we will be text chatting with you in there. And we will be watching the movie and conversing about the movie while we're watching it.
Right.
Anyway, we will see you on the other side. And we're back. Okay, there we go.
Fantastic.
Yes. So, first things first, what is your thoughts on the movie?
So I do see how you feel it is a passion project, right? Like I see the meaning behind it, and I see the effort put into it, and I did like there was some creativity in it, um, but there was just so much that did not hit the mark, right? The lines didn't hit right, the plot didn't hit right, the plot delivery didn't hit right, the you know the plot holes and the discrepancy and the especially Dr. Turger discipline over there, like
Yeah, exactly.
scratching his face with the barrel of his gun. It's it was just I see it as a train wreck, and I would love to hear your argument you make for it now.
Okay, so I'll reiterate the argument that I will not give this movie any leeway whatsoever. It is a dumpster fire in so many aspects, but I kind of like it because of that. But that being said, my thoughts on it were that the aliens did not put forth the effort that they wanted to put, or that they should put forth. They were trying to prevent the destruction of them and anybody else that might live in the universe, but they weren't
Hmm.
willing to do the things that it would take to do it because they thought themselves to be superior, that they shouldn't have to mingle with these humans, but the humans should come to them because they're the saviors.
Hmm.
And I think that in proper hands and a rewrite of the script, you could actually make an extremely good movie with this. So that is where digging into the milk and finding the sweet cream. That's my take on it. Now, what do you think about that concept, or if you could add
So
anything to it?
so I think what would have to happen for the because if we're going just based off like what the concept is there is like humanity is about to destroy themselves and aliens need to come and save us. There needs to be way more of a gap between them for the plot to ever make sense, right? Like there, like you said, the aliens, and we mentioned while we were watching it that they had the ability to talk to them, and then they blamed us for when we didn't, understand them and how they talked to us the first way. They didn't use the translator they already had, or they knew military secrets and technology, and yet they couldn't wrap their mind around how we were just, not there yet, and so they blame us for that, and that's our fault,
Yeah,
right? And I, if they were to like make this into a bigger movie, a more budgeted movie, a modern movie, they would have to like make a to be redundant, an alien species, right? Like the species has to be different from us,
oh, I see.
have a different
Okay.
motive than us, and speak differently than us. Because there's just way too much like, oh, it's just like, they're trying to make the argument that like, oh, we're just the same, and yet, like my country has to fight. I wear the uniform of my world, this and that, and yet it only lands on the point that you're as much to blame as we are, right?
Yeah.
And it misses the entire, solidarity of the movie.
Yeah. I've that was a real sticking point for me, was with the we had to create a translation machine just to listen to what they were saying, and I'm like, how many months slash
Right.
years did it take for you to develop this machine when they could have easily when he gives the machine the name, he's like, oh, you developed this, it's right in the recording, it's like you developed this, so now
Right.
we can talk to each other. And it's like, by that time, it's like, why make us do that
They
much work
fired
if it's
upon
such
each
a
other by
danger?
that time. The aliens had attacked the city by that time. They knew
Hmm.
about each other for years.
Yeah, and it's just like, I'm not exonerating the humans in any way, shape, or form, but I think
Of course not.
uh, the aliens came on our turf and then acted like we were supposed to bow to them in that process. But again, the writing didn't translate it well, because there's a moment where he says something along the lines of their spirits are too free or something like that, or their minds are too free. And I'm
Hmm.
like, what does that have to do with anything, really? If they were that free, that would allow us to come to the conclusion that, hey, maybe we should fix this problem.
Right.
If we have the free mind. I think what he meant to say was is that too emotional.
Hmm. I think another major thing is the superiority of the aliens is totally unfounded because they were like we're on a diplomatic mission unless we have to resort to other things, and yet they were defeated by four idiots with some guns.
Yeah, yeah,
The main climactic was a fist fight.
yeah,
That's your power.
yeah. I'm a soldier of my country. Yeah, you sure are.
Gets his ass kicked by some beat cop.
Yeah, or it was the pilot. Yeah, just an airline pilot. He sits for a living,
Yeah,
and yet he kicked your butt. What's going on here?
yeah.
But yeah, it's still uh, I'm still a huge fan of it though, even with all the weirdness and all the craziness that happens in it. I'm still a major fan of this movie, and I don't know why. Because objectively, I can say this movie is just so damn horrible.
Hmm.
It's the same for like Troll 2. Another. It actually took in the measurement of worst movies ever, Plan 9, and then Troll 2 came out and knocked it out of the top spot in the process.
Right.
And I love that movie because it's just so 80s weird.
Mm.
But
Yeah.
otherwise,
No. I can't remember the name for the life of me, but there was this one movie, and what it was is it was a budget movie made off of the remaining budget of another movie, and they only had like 1,500 to work with, and the plot was god awful. And for whatever reason, the movie was about a porn industry, and for whatever reason, they had this one actress, and I think I timed it out. Her total screen time was like half an hour, and there was only like 10 minutes of that where her breasts weren't exposed.
oh jeez.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe we have to look into that one for the next. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if I would, share the screen for that one, but just saying. But yeah, it does surprise me that movies like that can be made. That the padding,
Mm,
we saw it in this movie big time. I mean, the padding was just every scene that didn't have to do with the main plot was basically padding.
mm.
Long drawn out conversations or explanations of what you're looking at on the screen, and
Or them walking, just entering a scene has to take like 10 seconds.
yeah. The other part I thought was funny is anything that would cost money, like the dead caretakers. It's
Hmm.
like, oh man, their bodies are ripped to pieces, and then they show them, and it's just like a couple people just laying there, and
Yeah.
all deaths happen off screen. Uh, you know, there
Nope, there
wasn't.
was one where the fat guy, he had put both his hands on each shoulder and the man collapsed.
Yeah, yeah.
Forget. You forget. He tapped him and he collapsed like a sack of potatoes. That was true acting.
Oh,
True
true
acting.
acting. Yes, yes. Yeah, getting double kirked, I guess is what they would call it. But yeah, so before you saw the movie, what would you rate uh, uh, my argument?
I think that your argument that you made is valid to a point.
Mm,
I think it falls just on the aspect of how, like, you know, it's a passion project. So, you take one slip and you go, okay, it's a new director, this is a shoestring budget, right? But just the amount of, inconsistencies and everything they pile on, I think that has to make it a bad movie, no matter how good the intention is of it.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh,
Um,
oh, go ahead.
and so I would say that after the movie, how your arguments sticked up, I would say I think it falls flat a little bit.
Okay, okay, I could see that.
Mm.
Um, I think it does kind of fall flat. There's things missing, like you mentioned, having the aliens be more alien than what they were. I mean, heck, they
Mhm.
spoke English through most of the movie. Uh,
Right.
or no, they did speak English through the entire movie, and yet they're like, let's turn on the translator so they can understand us. It's like, really? So
Mm.
I can understand your point on it. I do believe that I would stand on my argument. I would agree with your argument back with it, but I would stand on my argument that in the right hands, I still think it would be really good. But I do agree with you that there has to be a lot of changes before it could actually sit as a good movie on its own.
They did this. They took this concept with Arrival, didn't they?
Arrival was kind of like that. Yeah, yeah. Uh, Arrival's the one where she's learning the new language from the aliens, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. That concept, yeah. That's another thing I wanted to mention, but I didn't investigate it enough. Given this is the first episode, is movies that actually use these concepts.
Mm.
Day the Earth Stood Still is a good one too, but it was reversed. It's they come down, they try to communicate right away, but the humans didn't know how to deal with them, so the trouble ensued.
Hmm.
Arrival's another one. There's a episode of The Outer Limits called "To Serve Man," which is also kind of an offshoot. I don't know if you've
Right.
ever seen it. The basic plot is that aliens come down. They're offering to take us to their place, which is a paradise, and they give us this book called "To Serve Man," and all they want to do is to serve man. And they finally translate it, and it's a cookbook for humans. So
Right.
it's like the communication, they did it on purpose. It's like they wanted to get them into a place where they're basically cattle, and then once they figure it out, it's like, oh, you don't have a choice anymore. We're integrated into your entire society. We just wanted to know
Right.
where we wanted to tell you where you stand when you're ready to hear it. So
Hmm.
all these different things have kind of used that concept.
And yet, in all those examples, how like it's the true like difference between like the motive. The motive is a human motive, right? To selfishly take over someone else's land, property, etc. That's a human motive, and yet the character of the aliens is still alien, right? Like it's
Oh yeah,
still a huge drastic difference between the human and the alien, right? And to bridge that is to remove the relationship between them and make them true equals that are just both bad people. There's no good people. There's no villains. It's just they're both sucking, and that doesn't like if you're trying to relate your audience to the human aspect of it, trying to understand the aliens, when you both make them bad people, you miss the entire point,
yeah.
and not to say that's not accomplishable, right, if they're both shitty people, because that's reality, except when your main thing is to like, oh, look how strange these aliens are, and here's the real, like, if like what's the thing where it's like when you write fiction you have to write either the strange world and the real character, or the strange character to the real world. You break down both of those when you make when you humanize the alien so much, then you destroy the aspect of them being an alien in the first place.
Yeah, yeah, I could see that. I'm trying to think of another example where the alien, uh, it conquered the world. Was a It had Peter Graves in it. The alien was very alien, and
Mhm.
it did very alien things. Another bad movie that I might actually cover because it's one of those that it's iconic. It's actually one of the favorite MST3K movies out there, just because of the comedy they were able to get off of it, because of how high budget it was at the time, but how just it fails in so many departments. Yet there's a
Mhm.
really, really good core idea there.
Right.
So that might be a future one. So, yeah, I'm gonna be. I might. I don't know if I'm gonna. Well, I'm gonna edit out the movie for sure. I mean, it's
Mhm.
not actually in the recording. I'm gonna edit out the time we watched the movie. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up that in YouTube, which I'm going to put this up on, I'll ask people for their opinion on it, possibly give the links to the movie in the description and stuff, and see what they think about it too, because I would really like to see multiple views of this. Maybe somebody can interject something even better. But we have about 19 minutes left. So for starters, I wanted to thank you very much, FakeRavens, for coming in.
Problem.
Your insight in this was amazing. Watching the movie with you and being able to joke with you in it was fun as all get out. But right now, I am going to let you evilly shill. So what are you up to lately?
What am I up to lately? Well, I've been running a philosophy podcast for the last year now, and you can find us at Real Talk or at FakeRavens on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. You can find us on Castbox, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find your podcasts. We do a philosophical open discussion, and it's always interesting. Our recordings are posted on our socials, and yeah, check us out.
Okay, the music is still playing. Okay. I noticed some anomalous audio. Sorry, I was distracted. Okay, so if you send me those links, Fake Raven, when I get this up on YouTube, I will put that in the doobly-doo for you.
Okay.
Okay, sounds good. I'll talk about myself a bit. Almost everybody here already knows me, but I'm Goji Spit. I am just now putting in efforts to branch out from just streaming Beat Saber or whatever I happen to be doing. Most of my stuff, Twitter and YouTube, are Goji Spit. Just search for me. I put up Beat Saber, about 5 episodes of Beat Saber at a time on YouTube once a week. But now I'm going to be starting to do this podcast, which will probably be every other week, schedule permitting. I might be adding more people or less people or whatever. It just it matters what I find out along the lines. Given that this is the first podcast I ever done, I am just winging it. I'll fix it in post is basically my attitude towards this. So I want to thank you all for joining us, and thank you, Fake Ravens, again so much for hanging out. I think we will sign off. This has been Devil's Advocate, brought to you by the Kaiju Army. We will be doing this again, and thank you, everybody. You have a good night.